Hello kids, welcome to Learner's Planet. Kids, in this session, we are going to discuss about Roman numerals or Roman number system. Kids, it's one of the earliest system of writing numerals. Okay, this system is still in use at many places. For an example, you might have seen the faces of clocks that show hours in Roman numerals. In fact, we use Roman numerals to write numbered list. Okay. In our everyday mathematics, we use Hindu-Arabic numeral system. Okay, and you must be knowing that we are using 10 symbols to represent the numbers in Hindu-Arabic numeral system. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. But in Roman number system, we just use 7 symbols that I have shown over here. That is I, V, X, L, C, D and M. Now let's see what are the meanings of these 7 symbols. Kids, I have shown the 7 symbols over here, that is I, V, X, L, C, D and M. I means 1, that is I in Roman numerals and 1 in Hindu-Arabic numeral system. Okay, V represents 5, X represents 10, L represents 50, C represents 100, D represents 500 and M represents 1000. Kids, we can form different Roman numbers using these 7 symbols, but we have to keep some rules in our mind. Okay, so let's discuss these rules. Now, the very first rule is, if a symbol is repeated one after the other, its value is added as many times as it is written. Here we can see 3 i's. The value of 1 i, that means 1 i represents 1. Here we see 3 i's, that means it's 3 i's. That means 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 3. That means if a symbol is repeated one after the other, its value is added as many times as it is written. Here we see the 3 i's and each I represent 1, 1. So we are having 3 i's and 3 ones, that is 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. Similarly, we are having 3x over here. The value of 1x is 10. So x and x is equal to 10 plus 10 plus 10, that is 30. Okay. Similarly, it's C. The value of 1c is 100. So C and C, that means 100 plus 100, that is 200. Okay. Now, the next rule is the symbol I, X, C and M can be repeated maximum for 3 times. Let's take an example. Here we see C, the value of C is 100. So C for 2 times is 200 and C for 3 times is 300. Similarly, M is 1000. So M repeated for 2 times, that is M and M. Represents 2000 and M, that is 3000. But we have to be very clear that these symbols, that is I, X, C and M, can be repeated maximum for 3 times in a single number. Okay. Now the next rule is the symbols V, L and D can never be repeated in a Roman numeral. Now what is the value of V, L and D? V represents 5, L represents 50 and D represents 500. Okay, that means you cannot write V. That means it's not 5 plus 5, that is 10. It's not correct. Okay, so we have to be very clear that V, L and D can never be repeated in a Roman numeral. Now the next rule is, if a symbol with a smaller value is written on the right side of a symbol with greater value, then its value is added to the value of greater symbol. Just we take an example. Here I see a V and one I. Now we have written I on the right side of V. Okay. Now what I represents? I represents 1 and V represents 5. Now V is the greater number, or we can say 5 is the greater number. So if we write I to the right side of V, that means the value of both of them will be added. Okay. So it's I written on the right side of V. That's why we are adding the value of V and I, that is 5 plus 1, 6. Okay. Similarly, here we see it's X, I and I. So the value of X is 10, I represents 1 and further I represents 1, and both the I's are written on the right side of X. That means the, the value of each I will be added to X. Okay, so it's 10 plus 1 that is 12. Okay, so further we have a quick recap. If a symbol with smaller value is written on the right side of a symbol with a greater value, then its value is added to the value of greater symbol. Suppose I have xi. Now what x is? It's 10 and I we have written on the right side of x. So the value of I will be added to this 10. So that is 10 plus 1 and that is 11. Okay. So if you have to write 11 in the Roman numeral, you have to write it like this. Okay. Now the next rule. If a symbol with smaller value is written on the left side of a symbol with larger value, then its value is subtracted from the value of greater symbol. We see over here, it's I and it's V. Now what is the value of I? That is 1 and the value of V is 5. Now I is written on the left side of V. Okay, so according to the this rule, the value of I will be deducted from the value of V. So value of V is 5 and the value of I is 1. So we are going to deduct 1 from 5 and we are getting 4. So this is the representation of 4. Okay, similarly we see over here the value of I is 1, the value of x is 10 and I is written on the left side of x. That means we have to deduct the value of I from the value of x. That is 10 minus 1, 9. So this is the representation of 9 in Roman numerals. Okay. I hope you are clear. Now the next rule is the symbols V, L and D are never written to the left of a symbol of greater value. Okay. What V means? V means 5, L means 50 and D means 500. These symbols are never written to the left of a symbol of greater value. That means Vx. Suppose I write this number. So this is not a valid example. Okay, what V is, it's 5 and what X is 10. Okay, some students make this mistake. They just deduct the value of V from the value of X, that is 5, but 5 has to be written like this only. Okay, so the symbols V, L and D are never written to the left of a symbol of greater value. Kids, first of all, let's learn to write the numbers from 1 to 10. Okay. Now, 1 is I. Now, if I wish to write 2, then I, that is 1 plus 1, that is 2. Now, if I wish to write 3, that means I, that is 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 3. Now suppose if I wish to write 4, as we have already discussed in the rules of Roman numerals, we cannot repeat I for more than 3 times. Okay, so we cannot write I and I for 4 times. So what we have to do, what we can do is we can deduct 1 from 5, so we will be getting 4. Now how could we deduct 1 from 5? If we write I at the left side of V, that is like this. Now if we write the small symbol with smaller value at the left side of the symbol with the greater value, then it is represented as the difference. Okay, so it's 5 minus 1, that is 4. Okay, so it's V is 5 and I is 1, so it's 5 minus 1, 4. Okay, now how do we write 5? That is V only. Now we have to write 6, that is 5 plus 1, so it's V I, that is 5 plus 1, that is 6. Okay, now let's write 7. So it's 5, 6, 7. That is 5 plus 1 plus 1. Okay, since we are writing I on the right side of V, that means the values of I will be added to the value of V. Okay, similarly, if we wish to write 8, so it's 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that is 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 8. Okay, now suppose we write 9. Further, we cannot write I for the 4 times. So what we have to do? We have to deduct 1 from 10. That is 10 minus 1. Now how would it happen? If we write I before x, or we can say I on the left side of x. So it's 10 minus 1, that is 9. Okay. Now how do we write 10? That is x only. Okay. Kids, we wrote the number from 1 to 10. Now what we do is we will write the numbers from 11 to 20. Okay. Now it's 11. 11 is 10 plus 1. That means 10 is x and 1 is I. Okay. So if I write I on the right side of x, the value of both of them will be added and it will answer as 11. Okay. So it's 11. Now 12, it is 10 plus 1 plus 1. So it's x, this one is I and this one is also I. So it's 12. Similarly 13. So further 10 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 10, 11, 12 and 13. Okay. Now how do we write 14? Further, we cannot use I for more than 3 times. So what we do is, it's 10 plus 5 minus 1. So it's 10 is x, 5 is v. If I have to deduct 1 from 5, I have to write I at the left side of v. So I will write I over here. So it's x I v. That is 14. Okay, getting me? Similarly, if I have to write 15, it is 10 plus 5, so it's x v. Okay, so it's x v. Similarly, if I have to write 16, then it will be 10 plus 5 plus 1. So it's x v and I. Okay, 17, 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1. So it's x v I I. Okay, 10 plus 5 15, 16 and 17. Okay, now we write 18. So 18 is 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So it's x v I I I. Okay, isn't it quite simple? Now further a twist. If I have to write 19, then what will I do? Further, we cannot repeat I for 4 times. So what I have to do? I have to write 10 plus 9. Now how do I write 9? We have already learned that is 9 is 10 minus 1. Now what is 10? That is x. And if I write I on the left side of x, I'll be getting 9. Okay. So 10 is what? X. And 9 is what? I and x. Okay. So it's x, I, x. That is 10 plus 10, 20 minus 1, 19. Okay. Since I is written on the left side of x. Okay. So we will deduct the value of I from the value of x. So it's 19. Now how do we write 20? That is 10 plus 10. That is x and x. Okay, so it's x, x, that is 10 plus 10, 20. Okay. Now let's have some more practice. We write down the number from 21 to 30. It's very simple. We'll do it very fast. Now what 20 is? It's 10 plus 10, that is x and x. Okay. Similarly, we can write down 21, that is 10 plus 10 plus 1, that is x, x and I. Okay. And very fast we write down 22 also. So it's 10 plus 10 plus 1 plus 1. So it's x, x, I. Similarly 23. So it's 10 plus 10 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So it's x, x, I. Further, there is a twist if we have to write down 24. Now what we do? 24 is 10 plus 10 plus 4. Further, we cannot write I for 4 times. So what we do? We will deduct 1 from 5. Okay, so how do we deduct 1 from 5? If we write I on the left side of V. So it's 4. So what I do is x, x, I, V. Isn't it quite simple? Now we write 25, that is 10 plus 10 plus 5, that is x, x, V. Now similarly 26, that is 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus 1. So it's x, x, V, I. Now 26, it's 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1. So it's x, x, V, I. It's 27. Now I write 28. So it's 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So it's x, x, V, I. Okay. Now further there's a twist. If we have to write down 29. Further, we cannot write I for 4 times. So what I do is 10 plus 10 plus 9. Now how do I get 9? It's 10 minus 1. Now how do I write 10 minus 1? If I write I before x. Okay. So it's 10 minus 1. So it's x, x, I, x. Okay. So 10 plus 10, 20. 20 plus 10, 30. 30 minus 1, 29. And how do I write 30? It's x, x, x. That is 10 plus 10 plus 10. Okay, isn't it quite simple? Kids, I hope you might have learned how to write the numbers from 1 to 30 in Roman number system. Now let's write the numbers from 41 to 50 in Roman numbers. Okay, now 40 is what? It's 4 times 10. But we cannot repeat x for more than 3 times. So we cannot write x, 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 x. So what do? What we do is we will deduct 10 from 50. And how do we do that? 50 minus 10 is 40. Now what is 50? That is L. If I have to deduct 10 from 50, I have to write X on the left side of L. So this is X. Okay, so XL, that is 50 minus 10, that is 40. Okay, now you can easily write down the entire series of 40 to 50. So suppose I wish to write 41, that is 40 plus 1. So what 40 is? It's X, L, and 1 is I. Okay. Similarly 42, it's 40 plus 1 plus 1. So it's X, L, that is 40, it's I, and it's I. Similarly 43, it's 40 plus 1 plus 1, that is X, L, I. I'm sorry, it's one more one over there. It's I, and it's I. So X, L, I, that is 43. Okay. Now 44. Further it is 40 plus 4. What 40 was? Further, I cannot write I for 4 times. So what 4 will be? It's 5 minus 1, that is 4. If I write I before V, it will be 4. Okay. So it's 40 plus 4, that is 40 is XL and 4 is IV. So it's 44. Okay. Now 45, it's 40 plus 5. Now what 40 is? It's XL, and what 5 is? It's V. So XLV, that is 45. Now how do I write 46? It's 40 plus 5 plus 1. It's XL, it's V, and it is I. So XLVI, that is 46. Similarly 47, for 47 we will be adding one more one, and I'll be writing one more I over here. That is 47, and for 48 further one more I. Okay, so it's 48. Now let's write 49. Now let's write 49. Now what 49 is? It is 40 plus 9, or I can say 40 plus 5 plus 4. Now if I have to write 4, I have to write I for 4 times, which is not acceptable according to the rules of Roman number system. So I need to have another way to write 49. Now suppose what most of the students make a mistake over here, they write 40 like this only, then 5 is B, and 4 is generally written as IV, and they write IV over here. Now my dear kids, this is a wrong representation of 49. Why? Because B is being repeated for 2 times. But in case of Roman number system, V, L and D can never be repeated in a Roman numeral. Okay, so we cannot write V for 2 times. So further, we want another way to write number 49. So what I do is I write 40 plus 9. Now what 40 is? It's XL. And what 9 is? If I deduct 1 from 10, I'll be getting 9. And how do I do that? If I write I before X, I'll be getting 9. So it's XL I X. Okay. So it's 40 plus 10, 50 minus 1, 49. Okay. Now let's write 51 to 60. Now what 51 is? It is 50 plus 1. Now what 50 is? It's L and 1 is I. So what 51 is? L, I. Similarly we go for 52. So it's 50 plus 1 plus 1. So it's L, I. Okay. Now 53. 50 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So it's L, I, I, I. Okay. Now 54, it's 50 plus further 1 cannot come for 4 times because it is against the rules of Roman numerals that I cannot be repeated for more than 3 times. So what I do is I will write 50 plus 4. Now how do I write 4? That is 5 minus 1. That means if I deduct 1 from 5, I'll be getting 4. And how do I do that? If I write I on the left side of V, then I'll be getting 4. Okay. So it's IV. So what 50 plus 4 is? 54. That is 50 is L and 4 is IV. Okay. Now let's write 55. So that is very simple. 50 plus 5. What 50 is? It's L, and what 5 is? It's V. So it's LV. Now 56. It's very simple once again. 50 plus 5 plus 1. 50 is L, 5 is V, and 1 is I. Okay. Similarly, 57. 50 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1. So it's L, V, I. Similarly, 58, it's 50 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So it's L, V, I. Isn't it so simple? Now further, there's a twist. If I have to write 59. Okay. Now 59, for 59, if I have to write 1 for 4 times, it will not be correct. So what I have to do is, I have to write 50 plus 9. Okay. Now how do I write 9? It's 10 minus 1. And how do I write 10 minus 1? If I write I before X, it will be 10 minus 1, that is 9. So what 50 is? It's L, and what 9 is? I. X. Okay. Next is 60. So it is 50 plus 10. That means L X. 50 plus 10. Okay. I hope you must be clear about it. Now, similarly, you can do the numbers from 60 to 90. The same way is there. We'll have some mixed practice examples also. And before that, I just let you know how to write the numbers from 91 to 100. Okay. Now, how do I write 90 first of all? It's 50 plus 40. Now for 40, I have to write X for 4 times. But according to the rules, X cannot be written for 4 times. Okay, so I need to have an alternative method for it. So what I do is, I can deduct 10 from 100. So it's 100 minus 10, that is 90. And how do I do that? If I write X before C. See what C is? C is 100. So if I write X before C, it will give the difference of 110, and that is 90. So how do I write 90? It is XC. Okay. Now the remaining numbers are quite simple. Further, if I have to write 91, then it is 90 plus 1, and it is XC, and 1 is definitely I. So it's 91. Similarly, 92, it's 90 plus 2, that is XCII. And if I have to write 93, then it will be 90 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is XCIII. Okay. Further, if I have to write 94, so it's 90 plus 5 minus 1. Okay. Now how do I write 90? It is XC. Now how do I write 5 minus 1? That is, if I write I before V, it will give the difference of 5 and 1, that is 4. So it's IV. Okay. I'm sure you are getting it. Similarly, 95, what 95 is? It's X, C, that is 90, and V, that is 5. So it's X, C, V. For the 96, for 96, you just have to put one I over here. So it's 96. Now for 97, it's 97, 98, one more I. Further, how do we write 99? 99, that is 90 plus 9. Now if I write 90 plus 5 plus 4, further I have to write I for 4 times, which is not acceptable. So further what I will do is, it's 90 plus 9. Now how do I write 90 plus 9? That is 90 plus 10 minus 1. And what 90 is? It's X. C. What 10 is? It's X. And if I have to deduct 1 from 10, what I do is I will write I on the left side of X. So it's I, C, I, X, that is 99. Okay. And what 100 is? It's 100. And that is C. Okay. Suppose I have a number 6. Okay. I wish to represent this 6 in Roman numerals. Now 6 is what? It's 5 plus 1. Now in Roman number, 5 can be written as V and 1 can be written as I. So the representation of 6 is V I. Okay. Now suppose I wish to write 7, then it is 5 plus 1 plus 1. That means V I I. Okay, so it's V I I. 5, 6 and 7. Since I and I, both the i's are smaller in value than V, and we are writing both the i's on the right side of V, that's why we are going to add the value of i's to this V. So it's 5, 6 and 7. Okay, similarly, suppose I wish to write 8, it's 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So it's 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's V, I, I, I. Okay? Isn't it quite simple? Now let's take another example. Suppose I wish to write 21. So it's 20 is 10 plus 10 plus 1. Now what is 10 in Roman number? It's X. So it's X, X and 1 is I. Okay. So it's 10 plus 10 plus 1. So it's X, X, I. Okay. Similarly, if we wish to write 25, so what we will do? It's 10 plus 10 plus 5. Okay, so 10 is X, 10 is further X and 5 is V. So it's X, X, V. Okay, and suppose you wish to write 37. So it's 10 plus 10 plus 10, 10, 20, 30, then 5, then 2. Okay, so 10 is X, then this is further X, this is further X, this is V, and this is not 2. In fact, we have to write it as 1 plus 1 because we don't have the direct representation of 2 in Roman numeral. So it's I and it's I. Okay, so the complete number is X, 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 V, I, I. Okay, friends, you must be observing that we are writing down the bigger number or we are starting the numbers with the bigger numbers and then going to the smaller numbers. So we have used 10 initially and we have used in fact 3 tens to make it 30. Then we added 5 and then 1 1 and then 1 1. Okay, so it's 10 plus 10 plus 10, 30 plus 5, 35, 36 and 37. Okay. Now let's take the next example. Suppose I wish to write 29. Now 29 is 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus 4 times 1. So I just write 29 over here. Now what 10 is? It's x, it's v, and there is 4 times 1. But friends, according to the rules of Roman number system, I cannot be written more than 3 times. So if we wish to make 4, we have to write I for 4 times, which is actually not accepted in Roman number system. So we cannot make this representation. Okay. Now what is the alternative with us? What we do is we try 10 plus 10 plus 9. Okay, so the value of 10 and 10 we know, but we have to find out the value of 9. So according to the rules of Roman number system, if I write I before x, okay, and I is smaller in the value than x, that means it represents 9, that is 10 minus 1. Okay, so we are having the value of 9. Now this 10 is x, this 10 is x, and we are having the value of 9, that is ix. Okay, so it is x, x, ix. That is the representation of 29. Okay. Now kids, let's take some more examples. For conveniency, I have mentioned the table over here. Okay. Now suppose we wish to represent 83 in Roman numerals. Okay, I just write 83. Friends, while we are doing these problems, we have to be very clear about the basic rules of Roman numerals. Okay. Now, according to Roman numerals, V, L and D can never be repeated in a Roman numeral. Okay. And I, X, C and M can be repeated maximum up to 3 times. Okay. Now, suppose we wish to make 80. Now, how will we do that? Okay. We cannot write X for 8 times. Okay. Because we cannot use X for more than 3 times. So what we do is we will represent it with the help of L. So the value of L is 50. So what I do is I do it's 50, then 10, that is X, further 10, 50, 60, 70 and 80. Now I repeated X for 3 times only, then 3, that is 3i. It's 1 plus 1 plus 1. So 50 is L, then 10 is X, then X, then X, then I, then I, and then I. So it's a very simple representation of 83. That is L, X, 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 I, I. Okay. Now I try to write down 62. Further, 60 is after 50. So we can have a breakup of 50 plus 10 and then 1 and then 1. Now 50 is, it's L, then it's X, it's this I and this is I. So all X, I and I are smaller than in value than L, and we are writing them on the right side of L. That means their values will be added to L. Okay, so it's 50 plus 10 60, then plus 1 61 and then plus 1 62. Okay, isn't it quite simple? Now let's write 75. Now it is 50 plus 60 plus 70 and plus 5. So 50 is L, then X, and then what is 5? That is V. Okay, so L, X, X, V is 75. Okay, now similarly, suppose we wish to write 72. So it's 50 plus 10 plus 10 plus 1 plus 1. Okay, now 50 is what? L, this is X, this is further x, then this is I, and this is I. Okay. Now let's take more examples. Suppose I wish to write 47. Now if I give a breakup of 4 times 10, then x has to be written for 4 times, which is not acceptable in Roman number system. So what I have to do, I have to choose some other method. Okay. So just listen to me carefully. What I will do is I will write it 40 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1. Now how do I write 40? What I can do is, if I write 50 over here and if I deduct 10 from it, I'll be getting 40. Now if I wish to deduct 10 from 50, what I have to do? I have to choose, first of all, I have to find out the representation of 50, that is L. And if I wish to deduct 10 from L, then I have to write the symbol of 10 on the left side of L, that is X. Okay. So if X is written on the left side of L, then this number will represent the difference of 50 and 10, that is 40. So the representation of 40 is XL. Since L is bigger in value, so and X is written on the left side of it. So finally this number will represent 50 minus 10, 40. Okay. So for 40 we can write X and L. For 5 we can write V. For 1 we can write I and then I. So it's X, L, V, I, I. Okay.